While growing up, I thought I would evade math. But here I am in my adult age, math is still playing me. How many of you are just like me? Some of us hated math. And when we entered into farming, we thought the chibalo, the math, the calculations, we have left them behind. But here, it is catching up with me at the same time. Are you just like me? When you don't look out for your cost of production, you may be farming in vain. You may be farming for the next broker. You may be farming for nobody actually, because every time your cost of production is high, it means your profit margin is going to be so low. Make sure you minimize your cost of production so that you maximize your profit margins. Why is cost of production so important? Why is it a must on every farm? Every time you farm goats without calculating the cost of production, you will not be able to know if you are on the right track or not. And with the cost of production, you can be able to know that exactly I'm spending so much money here. Maybe I should divert this kind of money to this kind of area. Or maybe I'm underspending on this project, on this particular activity. Maybe I should put in more money. But all this is only possible if you keep records on your farm. You cannot calculate the cost of production if you are not keeping records on the farm. One magical way of how you can lower your cost of production is investing in numbers. Every time you invest in numbers, your cost of production lowers. What do I mean by investing in numbers? Every time you have fewer goats, especially goats that are not productive, your cost of production is going to be higher. How does it become higher? For example, a person keeping 50 goats will pay the same amount of money to a person to herd their goats. Boji keeping 200 goats, I'll also pay the same amount of money to the same person if at all I've brought him to herd my goats. When you are buying drugs, they never sell half a bottle because you have fewer goats. You always buy a full bottle, maybe 100 mils. The same way I will do as a farmer with 200 goats. Remember, all the goats must be vaccinated. And every time you vaccinate, these vaccines are in vials of 100 mils. 100 mils means you are vaccinating 100 goats. So for a farmer who has 20 goats, your cost of production will definitely be higher because at the end of the day, you are going to vaccinate 20 mils of this, 100 mils of this vaccine, and the rest you will dispose of because with vaccines, it is one use and the rest is already spoiled because you cannot keep it for the next use. Most of you have turned your farms into pharmacies where every person tells you buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this. You end up with so many antibiotics on your farms doing exactly the same thing. It is only the names that are changing or the different brand names that are changing, but the drugs at the end of the day, they are doing the same thing. So every time you turn your farm into a pharmacy, definitely your cost of production is going to be way high up. Imagine every month you spend 1 million and you have 200 goats, you're spending 1 million on drugs alone. That is really high on those drugs. So be a tactical buyer of drugs. When you are buying these drugs, avoid consulting these people who are selling to you the drugs. These are marketeers on their own. They are not qualified enough to advise you on what drugs to buy. They will tell you, buy this, because at the end of the day, for them it is all about money they are making. Consult a vet, or if you don't have a vet, consult an experienced farmer, and then you know how to go about this exercise altogether. Follow proper management practices. Which practices are these that I'm talking about? Vaccination, deworm, spray your goats. How does this help you lower your cost of production? When you follow these things to the dot and you do them the right way, your mortality at the farm lowers. Remember, we don't want our goats to die. And every time our goats are not dying, the goats grow in numbers. And every time they grow in numbers, time for sale, you know what I'm talking about, the profit is always juicy. Sometimes there are hard decisions to make. Okay. Sometimes there are hard decisions to make on a farm, especially in a scenario where you find yourself, your goat herd has been hit by those bad infections. The bad infections, I mean, infections like PPR, infections like pox, infections like brucellosis. These infections really, when they start hitting your herd, they really hit hard, that they may end up wiping your entire herd. So if you notice in your area that PPR is about to reach your farm, or even if you are vaccinated, the best choice would be is to sell off the entire herd for slaughter. Why am I advising you to do this? Usually, you calculate the cost you are going to use to treat the sick animals, because usually when these infections hit our farms, especially PPR or pox, the amount of money you'll use will be so much, yet it would be better if you sold off and you earn some money, and maybe when that infection runs away, it goes away from that area, you can be able to stock goats again. And remember, farmers, every time you vaccinate goats, or every time you are hit on your farms with these infections, and some of these goats heal from these infections, for example, like pox, they remain carriers of this pox on your farm. That even when you bring in the new goats, you assume that they are free from the pox. They always get the pox from these carriers. So when you are being hit and you have survivors on your farm, please sell off these goats to the markets for them to be sold off as meat goats. That every time you keep good quality goats, for example, if I decided to keep 100 nice looking exotic goats, and some other farmer maybe in another district decides to keep 300 local goats, but is not following the proper management practices, and we all bring our goats to market them, I will earn more from the few goats than the other person who has more goats, because the other person, the goats may not be looking good. Don't keep a liability on your farm. Always ensure that you have productive goats at any one given moment. Don't have so much attachment on a goat that is not productive. A goat that is always falling sick, a goat has had several miscarriages, a goat during birthing it does not want to take care of its babies. This is a liability, point down. Don't take it on. Please sell it off for slaughter. Don't sell it to another farmer because you know you want to get money. At the end of the day, this goat is going to get back to your farm in one way or the other.